Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome back to the Moments Podcast. I haven't recorded an episode at home in what feels like forever. Last episode I recorded was with Hannah, and I was in Hawaii, and I don't know, time has just been going by so fast, like way faster than I can keep up with it. And Thanksgiving is next week, which means Christmas is basically the week after, which means it's already the new year. Isn't that so scary? Like, that's just kind of how I think about things sometimes. And sometimes I wish I didn't. I wish I could just slow down. But I don't know. It's something I want to talk about in today's episode. Like, I remember being in elementary school and summers would feel super long. And as I got older and older, they would feel shorter and shorter. And I didn't understand it. And now maybe it's since I don't have like a summer school break anymore, all of life just feels like it's flying by. It's so freaking scary. But anyways, we'll get into that. I'm going to update you on my life and just some things that I've learned in the past couple weeks and like lessons I feel like life has been trying to teach me or handing me. And I don't even know what order we're going to go in here. We're just going to talk. But I was really pumped up for this episode. And today has actually been a very, very, very sad day. And I'm going to be dramatic for a second here. But I am the biggest Swiftie, like, that I know personally. I know there's people who are like way stronger Swifties than I am. But anyways, point is, I'm so upset because her pre-sale started today, and apparently like the arena that I wanted to go to is like already sold out, and I was so upset because I didn't get a pre-sale code. And I was like, no, it's okay, like I'll just get tickets in the general sale, or like maybe find someone with a Capital One card that I can use. And I don't know, I just posted some TikToks about it, and then people were commenting and they're like, I got sent like 3 codes because I used all these different emails. I'm like, oh, that's really great for you. But I purposely didn't do that because I didn't want to take away someone else's chance of getting it, because like I knew how demanding it was going to be, whatever. I'm just so sad. Like it's taking everything out of me to watch other people's, like videos and stories of them getting their tickets, and like I'm just sitting there and I really am so happy for them, but it breaks me. It makes my heart, I cried over this. Like I don't know why, but you can ask my mom, you can ask any of my friends how much I've been talking about this concert and how excited I've been for it. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason. I'm still confident that I'm going to get the tickets. And that's a huge other thing that I wanted to talk about in today's episode, is that I don't know if you guys have seen, a lot of people have been talking about it on TikTok, how there's just people who are generally just lucky. Like they just kind of get everything that they wish for. Nothing ever goes wrong for them. And they're just lucky people. Well, I have always considered myself to be one of those people. And since high school, my friends would be like, only you. Like, that would only happen to you. And I loved it. It was great. And I realized, though, it's because I was always so positive. Like, I believed that everything was going to work in my favor so, like, wholeheartedly and so confidently that it did. Like, I don't know if you guys know about law of attraction or manifestation or speaking things into existence. They are all so real. All of those things. And the only way for it to actually work, though, is to actually believe it. And I think that lately, like, I've been in this unlucky phase of my life, it kind of feels like, and it's also, I don't know, I've been a little bit down in the dumps. And if you guys listen to every week of this podcast, I would think that, I don't even know, what am I saying here? I have so many highs and lows throughout my life that I can't imagine what it's like to listen to every single episode of this podcast. You guys are like, oh, good, she's happy again. Oh, no, she's sad again. I don't know. I can't keep up with myself. Point here is, in the past few months of my life, I don't think that I have been wholeheartedly believing that I am lucky and that everything is going to work out and everything happens for a reason and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I think that my subconscious thoughts have been telling me, no, like, you should probably figure out what to do with your life because you're not on your path, or like, that's not going to work out for you, so you should do something else. Like, I've just had so much negative self-talk, and I think that it is negatively affecting what is happening to me and like for me. And I just feel so passionately about this, and I want to do a journal entry about it, so you guys are kind of getting it first. But we really do have so much power, and like, it's not always good power. Like, we have power that can change our life for the better, and we also have power that can change our life for the worse. Like, obviously this whole mindset thing and like believing if you're lucky or not isn't going to stop real life from happening. Like, things are still going to happen, yes, but looking at the big picture here, the way for us to have good things happen to us is to believe that good things are going to happen to us. So many of us spend so much time just sitting around being like, well, that's not going to work out. This isn't going to work out. Well, I could never do that because I don't have this, or whatever the case may be. We constantly just beat ourselves up and tell ourselves that we're not capable. And when that's the case, if everyone is rooting against you and even you are rooting against you, it's never going to work out, obviously. But imagine that everyone's rooting against you, or rooting, what's the word? Everyone's, okay, I don't know what I'm saying. Everyone's rooting against you except for you. You believe in yourself. You push yourself. Isn't that motivating? To like want to prove people wrong and to do things because you know that you're capable of doing them. I don't know. That's just been so heavy on my mind lately. And I didn't even mean to get into that right away. I wanted to tell you guys all about Hawaii. Most of you guys know that I spent a lot of time there. I spent like 6 months there in 2021, 6 months there this year. And every time I go there, it's super great and awesome in the beginning. And I end up finding myself in this dark place, like this really dark hole. And I don't want to get too into it. I've done so many episodes talking about what my mental health looked like while I was in Hawaii. And I don't know. It's just a weird thing to talk about. It's a hard thing to talk about. But I've grown so much from it, obviously. I've learned so much from it. Point here is I went back to Hawaii this time, not for a long-term trip. I went for 10 days. And usually when I go back there, it's for months at a time. So to go there for 10 days was one of the coolest experiences because I kind of stopped procrastinating. And I'm trying to think of an example here. When I was living there, I wanted to go horseback riding so badly. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just do it next week, or I'll just do it the week after that. And I never did it. For 2 years, basically, on and off, I never went horseback riding. And another thing, the first thing I said when I stepped foot on the island was, I can't wait to go skydiving here. I always wanted to skydive. For my 12th birthday, I went indoor skydiving. For my 16th birthday, I wanted to fly to the Bahamas to jump out of a plane because you could be 16 there and you had to be 18 in the US. Then my 18th birthday came around and I kind of just forgot about it for a while, but when I landed in Hawaii, I was so excited to skydive. And at first I couldn't find people to come with me and I didn't really want to do something that extravagant alone, but then I found people who would come with me and I still just kept pushing it off. I'm like, okay, I'll get to it when I get to it, whatever. And this trip, I was like, you know what? It's time. I'm jumping out of an airplane. And when I tell you that that was the coolest experience I have ever experienced in my whole entire life, I mean it. From the bottom of my heart, I don't have words to describe what it felt like to be jumping out of a plane that is 14,000 feet in the air above the clouds when I can see the whole entire island that looks massive when I'm on the ground. It looks tiny while I'm flying through the sky, connected to this random guy that I don't know, trusting him with my whole entire life. It put so much into perspective for me. And it was similar to the feeling that I get when I'm standing on top of a mountain. And I think I've talked about this on here before. When I go on a really crazy hike or I go somewhere and I hike a mountain and I'm standing on top of it and I just feel so small, that's what it felt like to jump out of an airplane, but with a lot more adrenaline and a lot more thrill, which made it 10 times better. But it kind of just makes the world disappear for a second. It makes you understand that, like, it's okay to not have it all figured out. It's okay to just, like, experience life sometimes. And we're in this really scary society where everything is all about the grind. It's all about the hustle. It's how much money can you make. Like, money equals success, and being well known equals success. And in my head, that is not what success looks like at all. For me, success is being able to obviously, get by in life, but doing things that make you happy. And what makes you happy looks different for everyone. Like for me, I want to be able to go hiking whenever I want, or go shark diving whenever. I don't know. I want to be able to just be a fairy and like go frolic in nature and touch grass whenever I want to. And if I can find a way to live life and do that and somehow inspire people along the way, that's what success looks like to me. I don't really care about money. I don't really care about being like some big name anything. I just want to be happy, and I want to be able to have time to spend with my family. Forgetting how to speak. I feel like I haven't recorded in forever. Also, I'm recording this episode like already late. Oh my gosh, I have to tell you guys about EDC too. Wow, time is flying. Anyways, I'm uploading this on Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. The podcast was supposed to be uploaded yesterday. So I am really trying my best to get caught up on life right now. And I think that I'm constantly chasing this idea of getting caught up on life. Whole other thing that I want to talk about. A whole different can of worms. I'm kind of jumping around from one topic to another here, but I have been living in this mindset that I always am trying to catch up. I never really feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be, or like I'm doing enough, or I've done enough, and it's just this kind of vulnerable, I guess. It's this really, really draining feeling, and I think that it limits me even more. Like, knowing how behind I feel in life makes it impossible for me to keep moving forward with life. Like, I dread getting out of bed in the morning because I know that there's so many things that I need to do, but I know how debilitating it feels to do those things. Like, I try to do all of them. Like, even the small task just feels so draining. And it's so interesting how life can be like that. Like, there's other phases of my life where I am just go, 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 and I can get it all done. And I have like 5 loads of laundry done in a day. I have my floors vacuumed and mopped and my trash taken out and my dishwasher cleaned and ran, and 18 TikToks in my drafts and everything like posted on. I don't know. Some days feel like that. Other days just feel impossible. Like, I can't wait for them to be over. And that sounds so horrible. I promise I'm not like super depressed or super sad, or I don't know. I maybe right now I'm a little bit sad and depressed just because of this whole Taylor Swift shebang, but I know I'm going to get those tickets, and I'm going to be positive, and I am in a good place in life right now. I'm voicing what it feels like sometimes, and I know. Sorry, I had to pause really quickly. I just checked my camera, and I didn't think it was recording. It is recording. Also, yeah, just so you guys know, I do post video of the podcast on YouTube. Like, if you're a watcher instead of a listener, you can watch. I kind of just sit here, and my cat's usually next to me too, usually in the podcast room. It's fun to watch when I have a guest, but honestly, like, I wouldn't recommend you to watch any other time. I think it's kind of boring. Okay, back to what I was saying. Have no idea what I was saying. Was just kind of explaining that life is a wave. It's a circle. It's going to go up and down, and that's okay. And I remind you of this in every episode, because sometimes we need to be reminded in every episode. I just have been questioning, like, does the cycle ever end? Like, do we ever get to a point where we're just like always happy? And I think the answer is no, if we're always chasing happiness. I think the answer is yes, if you find happiness in every stage of your life. I just pulled that out of my butt, but I kind of really liked it. Like, if I can find happiness in being where I'm at, then I'm going to feel happy forever. And I think that that's kind of where I'm getting to, because, like, yes, I feel those things. I feel drained sometimes, but in the midst of that, I still feel happy. Like, that's where I would consider myself to be at right now. Like, I could tell you confidently that I am not in the best state ever mentally, but I am still really happy with my life and really happy with what I'm doing and who I'm surrounding myself with. And a lot of the negativity that I feel comes from, like, myself. Like, I just feel like I have been attacking myself so much and not being kind to myself when I do the things like sleep in or find it hard to get my things done. Like, you guys get what I'm saying? I'm sure that you do, because we all are our own worst enemies, and, like, we all need to be our own best friends. I've said that one 10 million thousand times. I literally need to get it tattooed on my forehead. Like, be your own best friend. Anyways, let me try to think of some other things that I wanted to talk to you about. I went to EDC this weekend, and it was my first time going to a, like, rave music festival, whatever you want to call it. It was so fun. Let me just start with that. Like, I don't know if you guys know what EDC is. It's an EDM festival, but it's not just that. It's also like an arts festival. They have these sculptures and these statues, and the stage is like just this massive piece of art. And I've never really been one to listen to EDM. Like, Lisette loves it, and I just can't really get into it. It like sparks my anxiety a little bit, or at least it did. And there's a few songs that I like, and in the right setting, I love it. But it was never my go-to genre of music. But then after EDC, me and Lisette just went down this spiral of, like, being obsessed with EDM music. And right now, that's where I'm at. And I just think it's so funny, because if you go through my Spotify liked songs, I like every single genre of music. And this point is leading me into, first of all, go to EDC at some point in your life. It was a really, really cool experience. And one of my best friends, Alex, was performing like at EDC, which is so freaking cool. So we went and watched him and supported him, and like all of our friends were there. Kind of felt a little bit like a high school reunion, but it was so much fun, just like wholesome fun. And we went out after because then Alex was playing at like this after party. And that's where I got a little bit too drunk. You know, I had to deal with the anxiety the next day, but like the good kind, the funny kind. You know, the kind where you wake up and you're like, what happened last night? Not the kind where you wake up and you're like, what happened last night? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, that was so awesome and so fun. But the lesson that it taught me, and the way that I'm like interpreting that little phase of my life, since I have to just make everything deep for no reason, is that I went from being someone who hated EDM music, and it was not my favorite, not my go-to at all, to being totally obsessed with it. And it just kind of made me realize, like, I've told you guys to take the Enneagram test before. I don't even know if that's how I say it, but if you haven't taken it, take it now. It's like a 100-question quiz, and there's 9 different personality types, and I'm a 7. So the 7 is known as the enthusiast, like the squirrel brain. Like, I basically, like, I think that most 7s probably have ADHD in a good way. But I can't pick one thing. Like, I can't pick one lifestyle. I can't pick anything. And this is something that kind of goes back to what I first was talking about in the beginning of this episode. I constantly am feeling this pressure that I've chosen the wrong thing, or I'm picking the wrong life path. And I'm teaching myself that it is, and I think that I've talked about this before. Like, I know that these podcast episodes can get repetitive. I just forget what I talk about every week because, I don't know, that's what my brain does. But I don't need to isolate myself into this one bubble. Like, it is okay for me to want to do a bunch of different things. Like, it is okay if one day I want to go be a park ranger at a national park, and the next day I want to be a skydive instructor, and the next day I want to be a publisher, and the next day I want to travel the world giving TED Talks. All of it is possible. And I also struggle with this idea that I have to be perfect at something. And what I tell myself in my brain is that, like, I'm not good enough at anything. Like, I'm good at a lot of things, I'm not great at anything. And damn, this is just like really pulling out the self-sabotage that I do to myself. But thank you guys. I mean, if I wasn't talking to you, I wouldn't even realize the things that I say to myself. But I tell myself that I have to be great at something. And the other side, like what I'm actually trying to train myself, is that it's okay if I'm not great at anything. I can be good at a lot of things. Like, that is good for healing my inner child. It's good for having fun. Like, there doesn't have to be so much pressure on it. I don't need to pick this one bubble. I can do all of the things, and you can do all of the things if you just keep chasing what you're loving in the moment. Like, I promise you, you're going to end up right where you're supposed to be. And I just think that I said this before, that goes back to, like, society has trained us that we have to just pick one thing and settle down with it for the rest of our lives. And that's terrifying. One job, one place, forever, to be considered successful. And to not get dirty looks from people who have done life a different way than you. But it doesn't have to be that way. And I don't know how we can change it. I know that, like, it's hard to do and it's very hard to change, but we can. I don't know. Every time I go to Thanksgiving this year is actually going to be really fun because my family rented an RV and we're driving up. Anyways, I'll tell you all about it next time. Not next time, on next week's episode. But, I'm super pumped up. Usually, though, I have to go to Thanksgiving dinner, and I just have to deal with all of the older generation, like, not necessarily my grandparents, but, you know, Thanksgiving, there's just, like, a bunch of old people. Deal with them being like, oh, well, are you going back to school? Are you going to get your degree? What do you want to be? Like, are you going to do anything, or are you just going to keep posting TikToks for the rest of your life? And, you know, that stuff doesn't really faze me anymore because I know that I'm doing so much more than just posting on social media. And I think that if you guys listen to this podcast, you know me on such a deeper level than that too. And you know that I have, like, these really crazy dreams and goals. And obviously it never feels good when someone just wants to, like, bring you down and tear you apart and make you feel less than valuable or less than worthy, especially when you're trying so hard to be confident in yourself and what you're doing. But that being said, it's still going to happen. People are still going to tell you that you're crazy and that you should just do things, you know, the way that, like, I put in quotes here, like, the way that works or the easy way. I don't know. not all of us want to work in a cubicle for the rest of our life. And some of us do. And that's okay. But, like, there's different kinds of people in the world. And you can never judge someone for wanting to do something the way that they do it. And I find myself struggling with this sometimes, too. Like, because Lisette, she is so happy with what she wants to do. She wants to be an accountant. And she wants to work. And she's going to have a busy season where she's working, like, 15 hours a day sometimes. And I'll be like, Lisette, is that really what you want to do? And she'll say yes. And then I'll kind of sit there and go back and forth with her. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And I have to check myself and be like, Lexi, yeah, she's sure. That's what she wants to do. And you should be happy for her and proud of her. And trust me, I am deep down. I just, for some reason, feel this need to convince her that something else is better. Or not better. That's totally the wrong word. But, like, what am I trying to say here? For me, that's not my dream. And I try to convince people that my dream should be everyone's dream. And that is exactly what older people do to me that makes me feel upset or uncomfortable or less than worthy, or you know what I mean. And I don't know, I guess it's something we can all check in with ourselves on. Like, are we talking to people in a way that we would like to be talked to? Or are we encouraging people in a way that we want to be encouraged? And obviously, you know, it's really not that deep with Lisette. I make it sound like it is, but it's not. I'm always like, Lisette, come on, let's go run around the world. And I want her to like the same things as me, but we don't. And that is the beauty of life. And where can I take this to next? My brain is just going all over the place, but I do want to touch on Hawaii again. Like I said, going there for 10 days was such a different experience because, number one, I didn't procrastinate. I did all the things that I wanted to do. Number two, while I was there, I started my little... I've heard 2 fire trucks go by in the past 20 minutes that I've been recording this. I doubt you guys can hear them, but fire trucks, whenever they drive by, that's my grandpa, like, saying hello to me from heaven. So that's pretty cool. Hi, Poppy. I started filming my mini documentary series, and basically what that is going to be is I'm going to interview people. I'm going to start with people I'm comfortable with interviewing, like my friends. I interviewed Hannah, and I interviewed Mitchell, and obviously I wanted to interview a bunch more people there, but I didn't really get to it. And you know what? That's okay. I'll go back eventually. For now, we're going to interview people that I'm comfortable with, and I asked them like 20 questions, all the same questions. And I'm so sorry, you guys, but I get confused like if I've said it on TikTok or if I've said it on Instagram or if I've said it on the podcast. So I've probably told you this before. I'm sorry. I want to interview people for a long time, and eventually, and always ask the same questions, just to see like what we can learn from other people. Because the most valuable lesson I've ever learned in my life is that we can learn something from one another every single time. We can learn how to be a better person, how to avoid treating people. Like, we learn the most from the people who break our hearts or treat us horribly or are not good friends, because it teaches us how to be better, because we'll learn how not to treat people. You know what I'm saying? And we can just learn from everyone at every age. From kids, we can learn how to be young, and we can learn how to not have a worry in the world. And from adults, we can learn how to, I don't know, be content and be happy in life and to just like grow up. And from old people, I don't know, we can learn how to appreciate like what we have. And we can learn from everyone at every age, of every gender, of everything. And so many of us don't believe that. We believe that we know it all. And we don't. Guys, we know nothing. Especially all of you guys listening to this. Do you know how young we are? Like, do you know how much more life we have to live? I was at Lisette's house the other day for dinner, and her grandparents were over, and her grandma's 95 years old. Like, I'm just thinking about, I'm going to be 95. I'm not really good at math here, but like, that's almost 3 more of the lifetimes that I've already lived. And that is just wild for me to think about. I feel like I've lived so much life already. And I remember being in high school feeling like I lived so much life already. And 5 years down the road, I look back at high school and I'm like, you were a baby. You knew nothing. And that's not to discredit the knowledge that we have and the wisdom that we have right now. But I don't know. Isn't that just crazy to think about? Like, we have so much more life ahead of us. And we have so much more to learn. And I don't know, it just puts things into perspective for me when it comes to people, you know, like having something to say, especially the older generation. Like, I kind of contradict myself when I say this, but sometimes it's nice to hear the older generation be like, you should do this, you should do that, because I like constructive criticism. But I don't like when the older generation is like, you need to go to school to be successful, or yada, yada, yada. Two different things. Okay. What goes on in my head sometimes? Like, I think that when I'm recording the podcast, I forget that I have a pause button and that I can recollect my train of thoughts. So I just try to think super fast, and then no real words come out and nothing makes sense. Moving on. I am so excited to edit the footage from those like documentary mini series. Like, I recorded with Hannah for like 30 minutes and then with Mitchell for like an hour and 15 minutes, just talking like in depth about all these questions. And if you've made it this far in this episode, let me know if you want me to try to turn those into podcast episodes, because I'm sure I could. They're filmed on my camera and they're filmed on my little, what's this thing called? My little podcast recorder. So I probably could. But the thing that's cool about interviews is I just kind of ask the questions. Like, I don't really butt in. And that's another thing I want to talk about. I've been learning a lot of lessons lately, and I've just been wanting to share them with you, but I haven't been able to record. So while I was filming these interviews in this little mini documentary series, I had to ask the question, and then I had to let them speak. And I found it so hard for me not to interrupt. And not interrupt where I'm just going to like start taking over and change the conversation, but interrupt where I'm like, yeah, me too, with like add-ins. And I never realized how much I did that until I was sitting there recording these interviews. And I'm like, oh crap, Lexi, like, you can't talk right now. And it was cool for me to see that, because I think that it taught me, or it's going to teach me, how to be a better listener. And I think that that's something we could all pay more attention to when it comes to being in conversations. Be aware of how much you butt in, or how much you take over the conversation, or how much you change the topic, or have to add in a sentence, or feel the need to like say your side too. Like, if someone's like, yeah, well, one time, my parents were fighting a lot when I was younger, instead of me hopping in and being like, oh yeah, mine too, you just let them speak. Just let people speak and just be a good listener. And instead of waiting for your chance to respond, just listen, And I thought that was a really cool realization. I was like, okay, we're improving here. We're going to be better listeners through doing this little exercise. But that was cool. Yeah, let me know if you want me to make those into podcast episodes, because I think that they could be cool. And I think that I could title them like moments with a 20s, because like say we're talking about Mitchell. Also, if you guys don't know Mitchell, he's the best person ever. I just want to give him a quick shout out. Like, Mitchell is someone who came into my life so unexpectedly, and I met him not this most recent past time I was in Hawaii, the time before that, like when I was there this January. And he is just such a genuine soul. He has a heart of gold. He is so cool and so close to God, and honestly brought me a lot closer to God. And like, I really getting myself off topic here, but I not question my religion. I sometimes have a lot of questions about Christianity and about the church, and I can so confidently ask them to Mitchell and know that he's going to explain them to me in a way that is going to make me feel like still comforted. And I want to do a whole episode on religion, and honestly I would love to have him on here to talk about it and to talk about faith. It's just such a hard thing to talk about, because I'm proud to be Christian, but I'm very confident in my relationship with Jesus and with God. But sometimes the church is what scares me, and we can dive deep into all of that in a different episode if you want that too. But back to Mitchell. He's just a heart of gold, and he's great, and he's awesome, basically. But what am I saying again? I want to title the podcast episodes Moments with a 26-year-old man. Or that sounds so weird. Moments with a 26-year-old male, And then just kind of interview people at all different ages, and not really tell too much about them in the description or in the episode title. They just have to listen. And I could put the description of the episodes as what is the biggest thing that I learned from them. And then, I don't know, just give people the opportunity to listen to other people. I don't know if that's something that others enjoy. I don't know if that's very niche, but please also let me know. I have a lot of things for you guys to let me know in this episode. But please let me know if you think you would love to just listen to people talk, because I think it's so fun and it's so interesting. But I'm also the kind of person who likes to watch documentaries, and watch his TED Talks in my free time. Let me know. I just think it's really cool. How many times are you going to say it, Lexi? We get it. You like to learn from other people. I'm just very passionate about it, okay? That's my current passion. That and EDM music. Anyways, moving on. I can't believe I've been talking for 30 freaking minutes and I did not talk about the merch one time. You guys, we did collection 2. It was that's another thing that I want to talk about in Hawaii. Also, you guys should know that recording this episode really turned my day around. I was really sad. I was really so sad, and talking to you guys just made me feel so much better. I got to do a photo shoot for collection 2, and it was freaking incredible. Like, I have never had my heart feel, I have before, but like, my heart was so full. I got all my friends together, and my favorite photographer, who's also one of my favorite friends ever, if you guys don't follow her, Esther's Cannon, on Instagram, like an angel with the freaking camera. Let me tell you, this is the most if you are ever on Oahu, she also travels sometimes too, but she captures pictures in like the most unique, inspiring, I'm obsessed with her. You have to just go follow her. Anyways, I did a photo shoot with her and with like 5 of my friends or 6 of us, I don't know, and it was the coolest thing ever, and everybody was wearing Moments merch, and everyone was so excited to be there, and the pictures turned out incredible, and like, that's not even the best part. You guys sold the stuff out again, basically. There's still a few more baby tees, which are my favorite, and I know that there's only the bigger sizes left, like large and extra large, but I don't know how to explain this. The sizes on those baby tees are very versatile. Like, the difference in the physical size of the medium and the extra large isn't that much because they're so like stretchy but also fitted. I don't know. Basically what I'm saying is you could wear an extra large and you're not going to be like drowning in it. And also there's a couple of the Moments tees left, and remember that the Moments t-shirts, each design only comes out one time. Like, there's not really restocks, but I am going to give you guys top secret information if you're listening to the podcast. For Black Friday, we're going to put the sweatshirts and the crew necks back up. So if you missed your chance, they're going to be back up. But that's for Black Friday, and there's still going to be a limited amount of them. You guys just blow my mind every single time, and I am so grateful for you and for us and for this little family that we have created, and seeing you guys in moments. Why am I about to tear up right now? I'm not even going to get my period. It really inspires me, and it reminds me that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and all this negative self-talk that I do in the back of my head sometimes, I really could just let it go because you guys are my best friends. And even if I feel like the old people at Thanksgiving aren't on my side and supporting me, like you guys are, and I'm always doing the same for you, and that's why I created this collection. Like, this collection was simply to inspire you to chase your dreams and to chase your passions and to always believe in yourself, because when you believe in yourself, the world around you is going to start believing in you too. You have to be confident, and you have to just be proactive, and you have to just keep working, and you have to know that your dreams can be a reality, and you can't give up on yourself. And that is why I created all of these pieces. I've talked about it before, but each collection is designed to inspire you to do something else or do something different, or just each collection has a different theme. I don't know what I'm saying, but this collection was literally my favorite, and the designing process of this one was so freaking cool. Like, the designs on both the crew neck and the zip up are actually pictures that I've taken from my Instagram, but like turned into silhouettes. And you guys can go look on the Moments Instagram if you want to see what the designs are. I don't even know how to explain what they are, but the crew neck says your outer world is a reflection of your inner world, and that basically means your thoughts, your mindset is going to affect what happens to you. Basically, everything I started talking about it in this episode, and then we talked about it again, and I just said it also. And then the zip up says your passion, what does it say? Make your passion project your reality. And yeah, that's really it. And also, like, the Moments hats are my favorite. They're hot pink trucker hats, and the sticker pack is great. I love putting stickers everywhere, and I love seeing you guys put stickers everywhere too. And there's also a keychain this time, and the keychain says create your path, stop waiting for everything to be perfect, which means just go for it, just take the leap. And again, I don't even know what to say, but thank you guys for all of the support. And if you did get Moments merch or collection too, like, I'm so excited to see you guys wearing it. You inspire me every single day, and seeing you guys in these pieces just makes my heart freaking explode. And me and you are going to change the world together, and we are slowly, one step at a time, going to make it a better place to live and a better place to be. And we are going to inspire people around us, and you guys are the reason that I want to do that, because that's what you do for me. And I would scream it from the rooftops if I could. I probably have, and I probably will. I love you guys so much, and I think that I'm gonna close this episode out on that, because somehow it's been 35 minutes. I remember looking at this and it was only 7 minutes in, and I was like, what am I going to talk about for the rest of this episode? But you guys get me talking, and you guys get me thinking, and I am so glad that you're here. So I love you. Please go have the best day ever, and I can't wait to talk to you soon. Goodbye.